Good evening. Coming to you tonight. It's Monday, June 1st from Blanding Landing. It's a Corps of Engineer campground, recreation area that they call it. Hanover, Illinois is the nearest little location, but I'm here. I'll be here until Wednesday. Then I'll be heading south toward Missouri and the Mark Twain National Forest, but that's for later. It's quiet here because right now I am the only one camping here. There is nobody else that I have seen other than I think maybe the trailer up front as you first come in is maybe the person who oversees. I don't know. Haven't seen anybody. But right now where I am, there isn't another soul out here. So it's really, really quiet until the train goes by. Yeah, I'm 150 yards from a train track, and there are regular trains that go through here making a lot of noise. If one barrels through, well, that's just, life, and that's what's been happening. But I wanted to talk about yesterday. As y'all saw some of the pictures, if you saw the pictures on Facebook, I was at Equine Center there in Waterloo, Illinois, playing with the Clydesdales. Man, they are some big animals. I've always known draft horses were big, but as much as I've been around horses and the many horses I've been around, I've never been next to a draft horse. Wow. Yeah. But the experience was so cool. Little background. The guy who owns the Equine Center was actually born in Manitoba, Canada, and he was raised there on a farm that raised Belgians, which is another breed of draft horse. And they raised them for shows and parades and things. And by the time he was a teenager, he was being sought after by other Belgian owners to show their horses. He was so good at what he did, so good with the animals. And so he was doing that as his son, who was the one who runs the little experience program that I was part of, said his hobby became his calling and his passion with these horses. So he continued to work with the Belgians and everything. And in his 20s, he was contacted by Anheuser-Busch and asked to come to work for them for their Clydesdale program. And he said no. Part of it was he liked what he was doing. He liked working with the Belgians, but also moving to a new country, things that would, all of that stuff that would be involved. He said no. And he continued to say no over the next 9 years. Anheuser-Busch continued to contact him and get him to come to work. Well, finally, he said yes. And he moved to the U.S. with his family, and then he spent 22 years with Anheuser-Busch running their entire Clydesdale program. 22 years working with the horses. When he retired, he decided he wasn't ready to give up on the horses, so he bought this 10-acre place there in Waterloo, and now he deals with Clydesdales. He buys them, he sells them. About 4 years ago is when they started this Clydesdale Experience that his son handles that program. The old man just wants to be with the horses. He's out there every day. He lives on the property, of course. He does all of the work still. He feeds them, he grooms them, he cleans them. They will rent them out for parades. They've had them be used in weddings, all sorts of appearances. They do appearances with the horses all around that area. And then he will get clients who say, I'm looking for a Clydesdale for whatever purpose. They just sold some to the law enforcement people down in Austin there that are putting them into training for their mounted patrol. I didn't realize they used Clydesdales. I didn't know Texas law enforcement had mounted patrols, but learn something new every day. But they've sold them for that. They have sold them. People have bought them for pets. That's an expensive pet. These are not cheap horses. But anyway, that was a little bit of the background of who they are and what they do. But the son, Barkley, is the one who did our little program. They only allow 4 people at a time. The little group that is that it's 4 people. That's the max. That's the biggest group that comes in and to work with his horses. They have 4 what they call their core horses, and they had 3 others that were out in their own paddocks. He said they rarely have more than 10 horses at a time. They had 7 when I was there yesterday. 2 of those were already sold and just waiting to go to their new owners, and the other one was a probable sell, but they hadn't finalized it yet. But they're 4 core, the ones that are in the pictures. There was Torch, there was Ace, there was Fred, and there was Flame. Torch came out first, and he was the smallest. Yes, he was the smallest of the horses. He was only 18-something hands, measured out to the top of the shoulder. He was just a little bit over 6 foot at the shoulder. Yes. And he was the smallest, 2,000 pounds, something like that. Very sweet. So he'd bring them out one at a time and give us a little bit of their story, how old they were, all of those kind of things. And so we got pictures, and you saw the pictures, and you get to pet them. Then he would bring out Ace, who was the next one in size, and then Fred, who is the star. Fred is their go-to for so many of their events. He's the one who goes out to promotions and things like that. And he's the one, when I have the picture that's under the America 250 and all of the bunting and all of that, that's Fred that's in that picture with me at that one. And went through and then finally brought out Flame. Flame was the biggest. Flame is 19.1 hands, which is about 6'3", 6'4" at the shoulder. Not when he raises his head up and those ears are up, just at the shoulder. If his head is all the way up and his ears are up and everything, he's probably pushing 7 foot. Big horse, 2,300 pounds, 10 years old. Beautiful animal, calm, wonderful. So we get introduced to all 4 of them. And then he'd put them all back. Then we went out to the paddock and saw that the 3 that were out there getting ready, and saw Bristol. Bristol was a baby. Bristol was 2 years old and had been sold, but already Bristol was showing that he was going to be big when he grows up. They said there is a chance he might rival Flame, might even be bigger. So he's going to be a big boy when he grows up. They tend to grow until they're about 5, and then they level out to whatever size they're going to be. And I think he said, if I remember correctly, average lifespan is probably 20 years or so. So they're they're good animals. But anyway, so we messed around, saw the ones out in the paddock for a little bit, and came back in, and he brought Fred out and he brought Flame out, and 2 of us on each horse, and brush out the mane using the brush and then the curry combs, cleaning up their, just brushing them, getting dust off, getting them clean. And the more you brush them, the shinier they get. I mean, they just get so pretty. That coat is just there. And of course, we didn't mess with the feet, the feathers, that flowy hair that's down over their feet that is significant in a Clydesdale. That's how they are. They call those feathers. And rather than having us mess with those, because believe me, when the hoof of that animal is this big and there's 2,300 pounds on top of it, you do not want that landing on your foot. At least I don't want it landing on mine. So he said, you can be close, cuddle them, whatever, snuggle. Just make sure your feet aren't real close, because they will shift, they will shuffle, and you don't want to accidentally get under there. And here comes the train. I think this is going to be a short one. And this is why live recordings are so much fun, because you never know what's going to happen. We'll continue in a minute. Let it go. Yep, still going. There they go. Could I have paused this and edited it out? Sure I could, but where's the fun in that? I get to experience, so should you. So anyway, back to what we were doing. Like I said, combing them, the feathers, and so we didn't want to mess with the feet because, again, dinner plate size hoof with 2,300 pounds on top of it. I do not want landing on the top of my foot. But what was interesting, and I don't know that this is done with any other horse breed out there. I have never heard of it. We actually vacuumed them. Yes, we did. And I got proof. Let me find it. Ha ha ha. I got a sticker. I was so happy. I got all kinds of cool stuff. Let me find my sticker. No, I'm not prepared. Leave me alone. Am I ever? Y'all know me better than this. I do things off the cuff and fly under. I don't know what all of this is. There's my sticker. I'm so proud of this. Bear with me. Get over it. All right, here we go. I vacuumed an equine. A Clydesdale JFP equine. See, there's my sticker. You've heard of baseball cards? I got horse cards. These are the 4-core horse card. The 4 cores. Yep. This is Ace. He farts. Boy, does he. And he's proud of it. This is Torch. He was the little one. This was Fred. And a person. The cards. And then Flame. Flame was the big boy. And yet so quiet, so gentle. It just being around the animals. You know? Now, y'all know me. Those of you who do know me know I've been a horse nut all my life. I ride every chance I get. I love being around horses. No, I've never owned them. I've never had the land or the money. It's an expensive animal to own. Just feeding them alone. But anyway, there is something very calming, very peaceful, very therapeutic. Just being able to be with something that is so massive and yet is so quiet. Now, yes, I know that these are trained and they do this and they're used to that, but there's a peacefulness, there is a calmness in these animals that they just don't get ruffled. I mean, they let you love on them. I mean, you can see the pictures. They hug, they get up on you like that, and it's just great. And it was such a wonderful experience. It was about 2.5 hours, but it was just so needed. It was when I first learned about this place, I knew I needed to do this. And to have the opportunity to spend with those animals just was amazing. So that was my experience yesterday, JFP Equine. If you get an opportunity, you should go do it. Go play with the horses. They're just something amazing about them. But you know, like I said, you know me, I'm a horse nut. But anyway, I'm now up here And that was Southern Illinois. I'm up here now in Northern Illinois. It's very quiet out here until the train goes by. I'm sitting actually inside the tent because the bugs are pretty heavy out there. But I'll get out here in a little bit, clean up my mess from dinner, and do all of that stuff. But it's going to be a good week. I leave here Wednesday and head for Missouri, and then I'll be home on the weekend. And then I don't know where I'll go next. We'll see. But for now, hey, that's it, and see you down the road.